So how does one look at this move which has been made by the central government, bang in the middle of a national outrage on the Pahalgam terror strikes? Caste census, which was the pet subject of the opposition, which was being rubbished by the central government all this while, suddenly is now a reality. With me, one of the foremost political scientists, well-known psephologist who tracks elections, tracks the story of caste very, very closely all through these years. Always a great pleasure for us to be welcoming Yashwant Deshmukh. Yashwantji, let me straight away begin by asking you, why now? How does it explain what has happened? Caste census now? Why, sir?
Well, the political side of it is very clear. I mean, obviously, there is big question of Bihar, and apart from that, there is also a question of timing. I guess that somehow they would have declared it before Bihar. I mean, I have no doubt about that, because they are supposed to start the caste census anytime soon. It is already delayed, and the question of fielding that question, one simple question, adding that into the census survey, yes or no, will you field it or not? That is something is a policy decision that was to be taken. Otherwise, you cannot do it when the process of census is already started. That is required. I guess that it was also important to understand the fact that within women reservations gambit also, when the seats will increase, the question of further reservation within the reservation, those kind of things will come up. I really don't think that government was bothered as such whether who is going to run away with the credit of it. Obviously Rahul Gandhi would love to run away with the credit of that entire thing. But at the same time, Bhupen, I think the situation, the crisis right now that is happening on our western border and everything, this probably came at a time when the country would be probably looking at that crisis more than any debate on the caste census at the moment, yes or no. I mean, in that way. So I think it was a bitter pill which the government had to take at some point of time. It was a question of policy decision they had to take. I mean, there was
so you're saying so you're saying, Yashwantji, that you're absolutely clear that despite this massive criticism which was unleashed specifically against Rahul Gandhi by none less than the Prime Minister, past 24 hours, we've all seen the set of comments which have been made in the past, where the Prime Minister said that this was the demand for a caste census was being equaled with some urban Naxal Maoist movement. Anurag Thakur in Parliament had said that if this was to happen, then देश के टुकड़े टुकड़े हो जाएंगे. Nitin Gadkari's comment was, जो बात करेगा चाहती कि उसको लात पड़ेगी. This was the sense. This was the commentary. Yet you're saying that the government was absolutely ready to swallow this bitter pill. What could have happened? Is it the 2024 Lok Sabha elections? Is it the BJP falling short of the majority mark, which has made the BJP look at this move now?
All of the above, Bhupen. I mean, and for me, it became very clear the day the RSS said that, they want the caste census to be done, but not in a political way, but for a policy way. And I kind of agree with that stand. I have always supported caste census. You can look at my tweets all along. I have always supported that, not because of any politics, but for a simple reason. We have an affirmative action program in place in the country, right? Reservations here. There is no way reservations are away. No matter how some people may like or dislike it, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, the partisan politics is in a way, the way the vote banks are structured, I don't see reservation policy going away anytime soon. At least not, I don't see them going away in my lifetime, honestly.
So therefore it is important. Therefore it is important for us to know exactly who represents which caste. Or which caste represents how?
For a simple reason that if you have an affirmative action policy, you want to run it properly, you cannot do it on the subjective numbers. You have to do it on the objective numbers. You cannot calculate it someday, 30%, no, it is 18%, 12%, 15%. Let's face the fact that last caste census happened in 1931. We had two major changes happening in the demographics. Number one, 1947, the population shift which happened in many of the border districts and many of the interior districts as well. The new population came in, a lot of people went to Pakistan, a big chunk of Hindu population came in. So that change happened. Then post 1991, Bhupen, the way the urbanization, the pace at which urbanization has happened in this country, so much of internal migration has happened that areas and everywhere, the state's demographics, the city demographics, the countryside, everything has changed. So if the demographics and their pattern of going around has changed, all the more makes sense that we get our numbers right.
But then let me just hold you. But Yashwantji, exactly on that point, if what you're saying holds true, that we must know, and I kind of agree with you that reservations aren't going anywhere, then what about the second claim which has been made by the opposition? Jiski jitni sankhya bhari, utni uski bhagidari. Are we now headed in that direction then?
Well, I doubt that constitutionally it is possible. There is a constitutional limit even for the reservations. Supreme Court has time and again struck down the state government or any government from the political compulsion has proposed a new reservation for any caste or any group, and the reservation has gone beyond a threshold of a certain percentage. The Supreme Court has struck it down. So unless they change the constitution and make it 100% reservation, in which even the smallest possible caste group, even the upper caste group get their own reservation, if that is the kind of thing, that's a different story. But I don't see that happening, because at the end of the day, there has to be, if we want to grow as a society, we have to protect meritocracy as well. We have to make sure merit stands. And we also have to make sure that affirmative action also takes place. So the capacity has to be increased, not just in educational seat, but also in the jobs and everywhere. And at the same time, both the things have meritocracy and the affirmative action have to be very delicately taken along together without any friction.
Will it not lead to problems, Yashwantji? Because I'm just wondering, we all have seen how in Karnataka, when the caste census number revealed, it led to greater friction within the numerically significant Lingaat community. In UP or in Bihar, for instance, when Nitish Kumar had released the numbers, the fear was that those communities which were maybe overplaying their numbers, or maybe where the population was let's say lesser in some cases, why would an OBC community or a Dalit community which is getting a certain percentage of reservations, why would that community be willing to let go of those benefits just because of this new caste census? Don't you think it lead to greater social friction?
Definitely, there would be some issues out there, but then you cannot argue with numbers. Numbers are numbers. And by and large, the numbers so far that were there were from caste survey, not census. Okay. The state governments did their own caste survey. Those numbers are generic. It's okay. In the absence of anything objective, we will accept those numbers, right? But census is like 100% confirmed number of where is what. What I am simply trying to say, yes, there are going to be problems, even when the caste comes in, even when the, implementation of reservation based on the new caste will come in. Yes, there would be issues. I'm not saying there will not be any issue, but at the same time, I will insist that Satyam Bruyat Priyam Bruyat, at least speak the truth, get the numbers, be objective about it, then implement it. Overcome the problem, overcome the frictions, implement it in a way where we can reduce the friction rather than increasing the frictions. But
go ahead.
So without getting the actual figures on the table, whatever the policy decisions that we will keep on making, Bhupen, they will be at fault. They would be wrong policies. So
how do you see this? How do you see, Yashwantji? How do you see this move of the government playing itself out in the political theater of Bihar? Delhi is abuzz with all kinds of rumor mills, and you're a past master at this, and Nitish Kumar is looking at maybe some kind of a homecoming with RJD. Now with this move being made, now Nitish Kumar will not think in terms of, going away from the BJP. How will Bihar get impacted by this move?
Well, I think BJP has been championing for the last 10 years the OBC politics and the Dalita politics. I mean, they could understand very well that from a party of upper caste, party of urban India tag, they were struck at 20% kind of vote share. And if they had to go beyond 20, 30, 40, which they are now aiming at, they had to get into the Dalit and the OBC vote category. And it was the movement of the Dalit votes and the OBC vote which made BJP win in the last 10 years. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And so yes, I understand the caste census and reservation is a touchy subject for big number of upper caste, particularly, voters in India. But at the same time, I do not think that makes the core vote of the BJP anymore. So as far as BJP is concerned, it is part of their expansion project. They are just trying to minimize their damage, particularly among the upper caste voters. And as far as Bihar is concerned, I just don't see upper caste voters in Bihar actually getting angry and voting for RJD. I don't see that happening. Upper caste voters, whenever they are upset with the BJP, the worst case scenario for BJP is that they will sit at home. When they are angry, they will sit at home. Their turnout will drop, and But I doubt that they swing towards the opposition parties in that way, particularly in Bihar. It just never happens. And the way RSS has been pushed in, I guess their task is cut very clearly that they have to manage the count on the polling day. And the way they have turned out Haryana, Jammu region, and Maharashtra recently, I think they have done their calculation that we will manage to retain the upper caste turnout and manage to swing the Dalit and the OBCs, non-Yadav OBCs, particularly in Bihar, EBCs in Bihar, and at least try to, because otherwise this issue would have become a central issue of Rahul Gandhi and RJD. That when we will come to power, we will do it. Now, it is done. It is clearly done. So you can at best take the credit of doing that, but it doesn't lack that kind of, it doesn't have that kind of power punch, which it could have in the.
And let's move forward. And let's move forward to next year. When the state of West Bengal goes to polls, we've looked at it through the prism of Bihar. Help me understand this. When a caste census and not a caste survey will play out, it will not just be restricted to one community. It will also be applicable to the Sikhs. It will be applicable to the Muslims, to the Christians. Let's say within the minority community, the Muslim community, where there are also caste divisions. How does caste census playing itself out on that territory?
Well, the devil is in the detail always. I still need to see and understand, because constitutionally speaking, the caste surveys by the state government did cover the caste groups within the Muslims and the Christian groups. But as far as constitution goes, the caste groups are not really counted within these religious groups, because these religions officially do not engage with caste. They do not, the caste structure or hierarchy is invalid as far as these religions are concerned. So caste structure and hierarchy is only applicable officially and practically applicable in that way of Hindus, Buddhists, and Sikhs. Not in the case of Christianity and Islam, for that matter. So it remains to be seen. I'm still waiting to see if the government proposes to collect caste details of Muslims and the Christians as well. If it would be a welcome move, honestly speaking, because that will also prove the point. Religion or not, conversion or not, caste is one building block of this society which is going to remain there. So just because you have changed your religion doesn't mean that you have dropped your caste group. It is not happening. So that is something which everybody knows, nobody accepts that. So once and for all, we have to bring that on the table as well.
Well, I think, Yashwantji, what you're hinting at is that many, almost decades back, when you and I, when we entered journalism, we used to say that you don't cast your vote, you vote your caste. I think maybe that fundamental reality of Indian politics still very much at play there. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us all those data.
Thank you, Bhupendra. Always a pleasure.